Hi, my name's Elvin Hamilton with Family Fun Tips. Thank you for joining me today. I'd like to talk to you today about winterizing your car. Now, right now it's coming up on December. You may be watching this in the future, but it's getting to be wintertime. It's cold out here, and it's going to get colder. We're going to get snow, probably get some ice. And I want to just give you some tips, give you some things about your car that maybe you didn't know about. So let's start off with your tires. Tires are important. So I always thought if you got winter tires, that meant that the tread was deeper so it could get into the snow better. Well, that may be partially true, but what I didn't know was the rubber's different. So if you have an all-season tire compared to a winter tire, the rubber is different, and that's what makes the big difference. So if you have an all-weather tire and you're in a place where it's 32 degrees for a long period of time or below, then that rubber in that tire will become hard, which creates a problem whenever you try to get a grip on the snow. And if you have a winter tire on your car, then that rubber is different and it doesn't get hard whenever it gets 32 degrees and below. So it's going to have better traction. It has to do with the rubber, some with the tread, but also with the rubber. And I didn't realize that. So there's a difference in the way the rubber is made for your car. So if you live up in Michigan, you live someplace where it's really cold and it's like that for a long period of time, you might want to consider getting winter tires. If you live someplace, sometimes in Ohio, you may hit freezing or 32 degrees, not for long periods of time. You might be okay with the all-weather tire. It's only whenever it stays cold for long periods of time. So that's the first tip is, kind of look at that. The next thing is check your tire pressures because in the wintertime, your tire seems to go low more often than in the summertime, just because the cold air tends to create a problem with the air pressure in your tire, and your tires will get lower, and you want to keep that tire pressure up. The best way of checking what your tire pressure is for your car is to open up your door. I'm going to flip the camera around here, and what you want to do is look on the inside, and right here it tells you what your pressure is for your tires. So you want to take a look at that. Easy way of telling, let's flip this back around. That's the easiest way of telling what tire pressure you need for each one of your tires, whether it be the front or the back. Should be the same for both, but that's the way you would find out. Next thing we want to talk about is your windshield wipers. Didn't realize this either. Did you know that there's like an all-season windshield wiper or a winter wiper? Same as with your tires. It's the rubber that's in the windshield wipers themselves. The wipers, uh, the winter wipers have a different rubber in them to where they resist freezing up as much and they're heavier. So if you do switch over to winter windshield wipers, whenever it gets warmer out in the spring, you want to switch back to your regular windshield wipers. The winter ones are heavier, which puts more stress on the motors, and you don't want that. So you want to be able to switch them back to the regular windshield wipers come spring. So it's kind of along the same lines of the tire, with the rubber being different and the way it's designed. So that's a good suggestion, especially for anybody. If you live someplace where you get snow and so forth, it'd be good to switch those out for winter time and then just switch them back. One other thing about gas, didn't kind of realize this, but you want to keep your tank half full or above during the winter time. What happens is if your tank gets too low with gas, it builds up condensation in the gas tank. That condensation then goes through the pipelines in your like your gas line, and then if it freezes, that causes fuel line freeze up, and that's what happens. So you want to keep your gas in your tank as full as possible throughout the wintertime. So if it gets halfway, you want to go and fill it up. Don't be like some people I know and let their tank get to almost empty and then fill it up. That can actually create problems, especially in the wintertime. So you want to do that. Check your fluids. Windshield wiper fluid, what you want to do is make sure that you get windshield wiper fluid that has some kind of like an antifreeze in it, so that whenever you're driving and let's say that's spitting ice, you want to be able to spray your windshield wiper fluid so that it will take that ice out. So look whenever you go to a store and make sure that you get the kind that has like uh, something that it usually says on the bottle, that it protects from, freezing rain, or, you know, has some kind of antifreeze or something to help with that issue. Now, along that same line, you can also make your own de-icer. If you get rubbing alcohol and you take a squeeze bottle or a spray bottle, you take a spray bottle and you fill it half full of rubbing alcohol and half full of water, and then you shake it up real good. You spray that on a car that has ice on it, on the windshield, or even on the locks. So if you were to do that, and I've seen it done. What happens? It dissolves that ice, it melts the ice, and it defrosts the windshield. And all you have to do is get in the car, turn on your windshield wipers, and it will take the ice away. How sweet is that? Something you can make easy and simple at home. You probably have rubbing alcohol in your cabinet. Most people do. If not, it's only like $1 or so. It's cheaper than the actual de-icer that you would buy and spray. You can even make little bottles of it and take it into work or put it in your purse and have it with you all the time. So if you come out from work and you see that your lock is frozen on your car, you can just take that little bottle, spray it on the lock, let it sit for just a minute or two, and then it should defrost and take that ice off there. So that's a great tip. Make sure all your fluids, again, are filled up in your car. Have your oil changed and have your battery checked. If your battery is 3 or 4 years old and you haven't replaced it for a while, go and have that battery checked either at like an AutoZone or one of these automotive places. A lot of times they will come out and hook it up and check and see what the amperage is on your battery. You want to have the amperage on your battery checked, because if it gets too low, it's going to actually be drained in the wintertime. Wintertime will drain a battery faster than anything, and you could get stuck somewhere. So if that amperage is low, you don't have enough. It's called cold cranking amps. So you want the most cold cranking amps that you can get in a battery, especially for wintertime. Because have you ever come out to the car, it's sat overnight, and now it won't start? It's because your cold cranking amps are down. It's because the cold has zapped that, and the only thing you can do is get a new battery or let it warm up, try to charge it. But usually after about 4 years or so, those cold cranking amps start going down. So the best thing to do, just take it someplace, have them check it, see what the amps are. If they're down, just get a new battery, and you'll be much happier in the long run, because then you won't have a problem that winter. So that's really about all I can think of right now. Those were some very interesting tips that I found that I thought would be useful to you. And I want you to remember that uh, I appreciate everybody watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed our tips today. If I find out some more information about winterizing your car and getting things ready for the winter time, I will definitely come back on here and let you know. Please go to www.familyfuntips.com. Go ahead and click on subscribe, click on the like. I try to come out with videos. I'm hoping to come out with them even more often. But I thank you for joining me today. I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you again. Bye.